Welcome back to another video, everyone. For those of you who don't know, Apex just got another update which I will be going over today. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future Apex videos, and if you end up finding this video helpful, drop a like as well. Otherwise, let me get straight into what's been patched, changed, or nerfed in this update, along with what I look forward to in the future. Let's go. So with the 1.07 update also being known as the 1.1.1 patch update, we have gotten a lot of changes regarding weapons, Gibraltar and Caustic, along with nerfs, buffs, and changes to legendary weapons. This also includes the dropship and the battle pass as well. Starting off, we got the battle pass, which for the next 2 days we will have a slight increase in XP, and it will allow for 3 free items over the course of the event. Now, I have been hearing that some people in the community aren't too happy with how this event is working, but I'm sure Respawn will eventually get it right. And otherwise, let me get straight into what's changed with Gibraltar and Caustic. So as many of you may know, the two least favorite characters in the game right now are Caustic and Gibraltar. This also included Pathfinder a few weeks ago, but they modified the hitbox to fit well with the community. On the other hand, for those of you who have been around since I began covering Apex Legends, you may know that my favorite character used to be Gibraltar, so you can probably imagine how surprised I am once this update came out. The main reason this change came to Caustic and Gibraltar is primarily because of the community's complaints about their large hitboxes, which once again had included Pathfinder before, although I really didn't find it as bad with Pathfinder. So what's changed with these two characters in this update? Well, first of all, they have both received an extra ability to their passive, which Respawn is hoping will counter the characters' big hitboxes, rather than making the characters the size of Lifeline or Octane, which I'm quite thankful for because it would just be weird seeing Gibraltar or Caustic the size of Lifeline, and it wouldn't make sense to give Gibraltar the nickname the Fortress. Otherwise, the new ability is called Fortified, which will reduce the amount of damage Caustic and Gibraltar take by 10%. This also includes grenades and general damage from bullets. Respawn did say that they will be monitoring the change they just made over the upcoming weeks, which is really great, since this can make these two characters OP, especially with the other changes I'm about to go into. Caustic, along with his new ability Fortified, has also gotten an increase in gas damage, which will now inflict 4 damage counters instead of 1. His ultimate's throwing distance has also been increased by 7 meters, which means instead of the normal 28 meters, he can now throw his toxic grenade 33 meters further. Gibraltar, on the other hand, despite his new addition to his passive ability, has also gotten an increase to his gun shield health, which for those of you who don't know, is the small shield that can be used on his arm to deflect gunfire. This buff to his shield increases his shield by 25 health, meaning that instead of the traditional 50 health, the shield now has 75 health. Keep in mind that Respawn's goal with these changes is to make these characters more of an option to players, and we'll be monitoring how these changes work over the upcoming weeks. I find this helpful since it gives these characters a greater chance in the arena compared to before the update. Getting into what's changed with guns, we've gotten quite a few changes to many of them. This includes all the snipers, the Spitfire, and our gold legendary weapons. Starting off with snipers, we've gotten a lot of buffs and changes to each one of them, which I'm looking extremely forward to since I loved using snipers back in H1Z. On top of that, I've been teaching myself to use them in other games as well, so being able to decide on a sniper over another gun will be great, and this will also help with the lack of people using snipers in Apex Legends. Some of the changes are added to all the snipers in the game, but then again, there are separate changes to some of them as well. First of all, we've gotten a lowered leg damage reduction for the G7 triple take and longbow, which means that if you or an enemy is shot in the leg, he or she will receive a little bit more damage than with the normal 25% damage reduction. They've also reduced base weapon sway by 33% and base weapon sway speed by 25% to these snipers specifically. This means that you hopefully have a better chance of knocking someone down with a sniper, and hopefully having a better aim, especially when dealing with someone at close range. On the other hand, the only sniper that got gun-specific changes is the Longbow DMR, which is actually my preferred sniper in Apex Legends, and I highly look forward to using later on today. The Longbow got changes in pretty much everything from fire rate to magazine sizes, which will hopefully make it easier to use. The fire rate has been increased from 1.2 to 1.6%. This may not seem like a big deal, but it has a good chance against a G7 Scout now. They've also increased how many calibers can be held by a gun itself and with each extended mag. Now when you pick up the longbow, you will have 6 rounds rather than 5, and 2 extra rounds with each upgraded magazine, so it'd be basically go from 8 extra rounds rather than 6 with a common extended heavy mag, 10 rounds with a rare extended mag instead of 8, and so forth. Basically 2 extra bullets with each extended mag, white, blue, purple, and yellow. Now let's get into what's changed with the other guns, regarding the Spitfire, Havoc, and Wingman. Since I know most of you are more interested about what's happened to the Wingman, I'm going to start off with that one first. The Wingman didn't receive that big of a change except for how many rounds can be held in it, but I'm sure to most of you who use the Wingman, however, this is going to be a huge shock until you start getting used to it. The Wingman, once picked up without an extended mag, will begin with 4 rounds instead of 6, and each extended mag will be decreased by 2 rounds. Meaning that similar with the longbow, instead of opposite, each extended magazine will hold a few rounds less than usual, while still adding bullets. Basically, a common mag will add 6 extra rounds rather than the usual 8 extra rounds, and a rare extended mag will increase rounds by 8 rather than 9, and so forth. The Havoc didn't receive that big of a change either, but it did get a nice change. The amount of energy ammo the Havoc usually holds has been increased, meaning that instead of 25 rounds, it now holds 32, and the amount of time it takes to charge up a shot has also been reduced by 4 seconds as well. They've also made changes to damage at range, close range, and damage fall off reduction as well, some of which are to make the select fire on the Havoc better, but I honestly think we prefer a turbocharger over select fire, especially with the changes in the longbow. However, close range damage and at range damage has been increased by 5%, meaning that at close range the Havoc will do 60 damage instead of 55, and at range it will do 50 instead of 45. Fall off on this gun has also been increased somewhere between 40 to 50% more, so at close range damage fall off will start to occur at 75 meters instead of 35, and damage fall off at range will begin to occur at 125 meters rather than at 75 meters. For those of you who don't know, damage fall off is basically when damage begins to drop at a certain distance. Lastly, the one I was actually surprised to have gotten changes was the Spitfire, which has just been nerfed similar to the Wingman. Honestly, I don't think these changes with the Spitfire will affect its performance, since it's primarily focused on bullets. Either way, they have decreased the amount of damage per shot that actually lands on an enemy by 2%, so not that big of a deal, and the size of extended magazines for the Spitfire have also been reduced by at least 5 to 10 rounds less. Finally, let's get into what's changed with the legendary weapons. These changes primarily focus upon attachments rather than performance. So starting off with the gold Havoc that can be found lying around if lucky, instead of having the select fire permanently inserted, it now has a turbocharger put in. It also has 1 to 2 times variable zoom, which is great in my opinion. Going to the gold R301, which I honestly didn't even know existed until doing my research, it has gotten a 1 to 2 times variable zoom instead of the 2 to 4 times scope, which would have been odd if I actually found it. For those of you who love the Wingman, it has gotten a digital threat instead of the other scope it had, which I think was a hollow sight or HCOG. Otherwise, that's it for our gun changes, which I know is a lot to take in, but I think it's worth mentioning. And on the other hand, one of the other things that were also changed in this update was a 50% increase in the dropship's speed and travel time. Well, just speed in general. With everything else out of the way regarding changes, some of the things we probably were expecting in this update is the LRAD or LGRAD. I forget what it was called exactly, but I mentioned it when I covered the Havoc once it came out, and the rumored Watson, who is said to come out sometime during Season 1. The LRAD is already on PC, I believe, but for those of you who don't know, it's another machine gun that takes light ammo, which pretty much completes the family of LMGs if you ask me. Watson, on the other hand, is the so-called League legend to be coming out in Season 1, and who seems to be another defensive character similar to Caustic. Otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, and if you are new here and haven't subscribed already, make sure to do so or else you're going to miss out on my videos. Make sure to hit that notification bell as well, and otherwise have a great day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.